So I haven't yet made any sort of assets for this. I have a few ideas, but I haven't actually had time to make any assets because this is going to be the first time we're doing this. We're going to try to make this a weekly thing. Like I said, I have 0 assets for this. I have some ideas. If people like this, I mean, I'm going to probably keep doing it no matter what because I like doing it and have time to like yap about things that I like because I never get to do that because no one ever wants to talk to me. They just want to shit on me. So I'm just gonna yap at you guys for a while about the week's news. If people seem to like it, like legitimately, I'll start working on more back end stuff. But yeah, I'm also gonna record these and put them on YouTube as much as I can. And again, we're not professionals, right? We're not reporters. We're just gonna have conversations about the stuff happening because I feel like there is a lot going on, especially this year in overall news, and more people need to know about stuff. But it's also not just gaming news, it's also other news. But gaming news is where I guess have the most exposure to. I don't know if exposing myself is the best word or best phrase for that, but that's what I'm gonna use. We're gonna try to keep it on Fridays. Saturdays if we have to. We're gonna try to keep it on Fridays. So let's get started with some casual gaming news. Before we fully get into it, disclaimer, yes, there's a lot of news all the time. No, we're not going to talk about every single piece of news. We're going to talk about big stuff and some small stuff. So obviously the big thing, elephant in the room was the Xbox stuff that happened earlier this week. So we'll get to that whole Xbox debacle last probably because it's going to probably be the one we spend the most time on. And we'll go through the smaller things first. Anyway, back on topic here. and we're back. So yeah. The Xbox stuff, we're not getting sidetracked anymore. We're talking about gaming news. Let's go to the tiny, like the small things that happened. The early access of Hades 2 got released this week, which is pretty cool. A lot of people playing that. I think Taryn was playing that for a while on stream. Oh, Nintendo announced a Switch 2 announcement. That was pretty sick, right? Yeah, so Nintendo did announce the announcement for the next Switch via Twitter. President of Nintendo announcing that there's going to be a successor to the Switch this fiscal year, so sometime before this time next year. Specifically stating that there's going to be a direct in June, and there's nothing going to be about the new Switch. They announced that there's going to be an announcement, but not anytime soon. So, I mean, we'll see I don't know what they're going to show in the direct. There's not a lot of games that are slated to come out. What's their release schedule for the rest of the year? I don't think there's much coming out. World of Goo. The Paper Mario remake's gonna be pretty big. Shin Megami, I guess, is gonna be pretty big. Super Monkey Ball, we'll see. The Luigi's Mansion 2 re-release. Ace Combat. Nintendo World Championships might be pretty decent. Yeah, nothing crazy huge. I think Paper Mario is gonna be the biggest one coming out the rest of the year. Maybe Luigi's Mansion 2. Is there a Metroid Prime 4? Is there a rumor for Metroid Prime 4? Maybe. So there's that. There's also some rumors that there's going to be a PlayStation Showcase this month with first-party titles. More rumors about a Perfect Dark reboot. Rumors about a reboot coming out. Not only that's coming out, but that there's development issues going on with it. So we don't know when this is going to come out. Reboot's allegedly in bad shape. That's what the title of the article says. Let me zoom this as much as possible. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. The Marvel Rivals codes for the closed alpha went out yesterday or Wednesday. Servers are open right now. Servers are live right now. You can play it if you have a code. Or if you want to be a silly boy and pay for a code. There's apparently sites that you can get codes from for amounts of money if you wanted to do like that. The Suicide Squad game, the Kill the Justice League game, took a $200 million revenue hit. That's how bad it was. That's unfortunate. What else? Tiny stuff. Small news. Tiny stuff. Xbox said they're launching a mobile game store in a couple months, in July. So that's gonna be weird. Sarah Bond was talking about it. I think that's the same Bloomberg Tech conference that from the other story that we have. We're gonna start bringing our own first-party portfolio to the Xbox mobile store. So you're gonna see games like Candy Crush show up and experience games like Minecraft, because they own King. I'm going to start in the web, and we're going to do this to really allow us to have an experience that's accessible across all devices, all countries. So they're moving more towards like complete ecosystem streaming of games. The store will focus on first-party mobile games for Microsoft's various studios, to include Call of Duty Mobile, Candy Crush Saga. So we'll see how that turns out. Next generation store. They hinted at it a couple years ago. Just some light stats for for April of 2024. In the UK, the top selling game for April of 2024 was Fallout 4. I wonder why that was. Anyone see the show? It's pretty good. The show's pretty good. So there's that. And let's watch this. A trailer dropped, I think, for this game called Indica. Or it released something. I think this game may be released, but this game is pretty effing wild.
It's hard to imagine a place more distant from adventure than a convent.
So we've got a nun in a convent. She's lifting a bucket, bringing the water over.
The heroine of this story, if it were up to her, would have preferred to stay within its walls. However, destiny had something different in store for her.
Duty. These camera angles are so, like, unsettling.
Open it. Open it.
And it's got, like, these weird 8-bit menus in, like, audio.
First, you got pushed out of your house, and then out of the monastery.
This is like, it's a Lopez ass
game. You were
game.
to kill someone and go to jail, sooner or later you'd get pushed out of there as well. So where now? Huh? So many options.
This is so unhinged. I think Lopez would really like this game. Play demo now in February, and that was February, obviously. So, pretty unhinged. Pretty cool. He's just dancing. This dude's just dancing. He's having a good time. There's no music playing. He's just dancing. So that's Indica. Maybe we'll play it. It seems pretty cool. So that's most of the littler news. With the other kind of medium to big size was all that Helldivers 2 stuff that happened, where PlayStation was requiring PSN logins, right, to play the game, and a lot of countries don't have PSN, so they had to pull the game from all those stores. So this happened like last week or something, where a lot of countries, basically what happened with Helldivers is they released it with the intention of having a PSN tie-in, but for some reason, technical wise, they couldn't add it at launch. So it was, I think, optional in the beginning, but then they turned it on where you have to have it. 177 countries where you can't do it, right? So obviously people weren't happy about that, which isn't like the biggest deal for people not in those countries. Like if you already have a PSN, right, it's not a big deal, but people physically can't play the game. But then so many people like review bombed it, right, and everything. Where's the second half of this? That's the second half. Okay. So there was an article. So PlayStation did eventually reverse course on it because of all of the review bombing and everything. So PlayStation did tweet out that we've heard your feedback on the Helldivers 2 account linking update. The May 6th update, which would have required Steam and PlayStation Network account linking for new players and for current players begin May 30th, will not be moving forward. We're still learning from the best for PC players, and your feedback has been invaluable. I think we can still support Helldivers 2 when we keep you updated on future plans. So they did reverse course on it, but then there's this whole thing gets so much deeper. Yeah, it's still delisted. The same goes for, I think it's either Ghost of Tsushima. I think it's Ghost of Tsushima that also is, because there's a multiplayer aspect of it, is still, as of now, I think being basically region locked, because you would need you can't even play single player, apparently, because there is a multiplayer aspect that requires PSN. This is also, all of this is for supposedly cross play and progression, stuff like that, I think. But they were saying last year about putting more focus on live service games. Yeah, they want to put a lot of focus, which is like a lot of developers are doing that now, which is like clearly not all of them are doing it correctly, because even the ones where they promised 12 live service games last year and only 6 of them got pushed forward. I don't think there was specifics on which ones, but they immediately pulled the plug on half of the ones that they planned on doing, because there was that Last of Us multiplayer game live service that got cut. Yeah, Naughty Dog was like, no, we're not doing this anymore. Marathon is being worked on still, I think, but it's been delayed. Horizon franchise, I don't think that's going forward anymore, but I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to double check that. But unfortunately, everyone wants to put more emphasis on effing live service games, which they don't even know how to do it correctly. I mean, clearly Helldivers did it right? Helldivers has a really good system right now where you can get almost all of the stuff that's paid for in game if you just play the game enough. Like somebody said, they don't want to make one and done games anymore. Yeah, which is nuts, right? Because we'll get into it with the Xbox stuff as well. But it's also not only that, it's more of like, it's not so much a recession, because like people are still buying games. Like games are still selling overall, but it's the goalposts have moved so far back for what they're expecting. What was the company that bought up all of those other developers? Embracer Group, right? Where Embracer Group had a deal with some sort of foreign government, apparently, to some $2 billion deal where they started just buying up studio after studio after studio, and then it fell through the day before, and then look, they started cutting everything, and all they're holding on to right now, I think, is like Tomb Raider and Lord of the Rings, which Gollum was really bad. You know, that she made a good point that it's not about a game doing good or not, it's about the profit margin. Yeah, it's just that. The issue is how well so many of these live action or live service games have done, like Fortnite, like Overwatch, like Destiny, where other companies see like, hey, let's just do that, right? So they start investing so much money, but they don't make it good. Like they just don't make good games, or they like fumble the ball in terms of like battle passes and skins and stuff like that. Yeah, so by the time other companies were seeing that and deciding, hey, we should do something like that, it already had been years that Destiny and Fortnite and all these other games are out. So they're already way behind the ball. Like if you start development on a game, like people that see Helldivers and how good Helldivers or Baldur's Gate 3, right? They see all these games do really well. They say we should do something like that. If they start now, these games aren't coming out for maybe 4 years. And by then, tastes have changed, styles have changed. It's too late. Like you need to be ahead of the curve. And it's really just about like the simple fact is just about making a game that's fun to play. Like Helldivers, there's not a lot to it, but it's super fun to play, right? It's super fun to play Helldivers. Because like you can see, like Blizzard is a company that I would say is nickel and diming people, but where they have an advantage is it's a team-based shooter that you can just drop in and out pretty quickly. Like you just play a few games, leave, and where they're trying to make their money is the microtransactions, stuff like that, right? So last year, PlayStation was talking about this, right? They were talking about this last year about all these live service games, and then in February, they start canceling and laying off studio stuff. I don't know if everyone remembers when this happened. The live service Twisted Metal game was canceled. They laid off like 1,000 people. I forget which studios it is say. I want to be clear, the decision to stop working on these projects is not a reflection of the talent or passion of the team members. Philosophy has always been to allow creative experimentation. Sometimes great ideas don't become great games. Sometimes a project is started with the best intentions before it ships within the market or industry results. See, a project that started with the best intentions before shifts within the market or industry results in a change of plan. It's exactly what I said, where they start on this live service stuff, but once they start, it's already too late. Like by the time they notice it and see it and figure out what worked, it's too late. That's another thing where a lot of these developers are making games that like, look at the Suicide Squad game. It's like, from what I've seen, like, and I saw a lot of people playing it, but it was just so like they just copy pasted so much of that game, and the story was just never there. Like the people go for, especially DC games, for story stuff. And the story's just not there in that Suicide Squad game at all. Same thing with I think the Gotham Knights one probably had a slightly better story. But like, I don't know if you guys saw where the live service portion of that game was, spoiler alert if you were still playing, where I think is Brainiac the main villain, right? Yeah, it's Brainiac, where it's all different universes within the DC world, right? And Brainiac's working with all the different Brainiacs, and the live service portion of the story was you beat Brainiac, and then you come back and you beat a different version of Brainiac. But like, even the second one that came out was like almost exactly the same as the first one that you fought. So you're like grinding a little bit just to have the same gameplay over and over and over again. And even the gameplay at that point is not like all the characters are basically the same. There wasn't too much difference between all of them. Yeah. But then you see Larian come out. Not out of nowhere, but drop that monster of a story game. You see Bethesda still doing stuff, which I would maybe argue Bethesda's not, in terms of story, hasn't been doing too well, but the gameplay they have locked down. And they just announced a new Arkham game, but it's only VR, which is so obnoxious. Where it's like they're sitting on the Arkham series where they could just keep pushing out those Batman Arkham games and they'll do well. But because they're single player, they're not putting as much effort into them. I was okay with that. I mean, looking at the discussion even about Baldur's Gate 3 with a month, people are already looking for deals. Yeah, that's true. But even then, like, that's people not understanding that with Baldur's Gate 3, you don't need DLC because you could just play the game again differently and it's a completely different game. Like, it's almost a completely different game. And then to top it all off, what recently happened with this Helldivers stuff, the other day there was a story about the community manager for Helldivers, for the studio. The community manager got fired. Because apparently he was one of the people instigating the review bombs of the update about the PSN stuff. Where this dude was actually going out of his way and posting saying, you guys need to review bomb this, you need to request refunds, right? And he's the community manager. People are going to listen to what he's saying, right? Unfortunately, it worked, but then this dude got fired for it. Encouraging negative Steam reviews in response to yep. Be forced to link their PSN, blah, blah, blah. On the official Helldivers Discord channel, Spitz revealed they're no longer with the Arrowhead community manager. They are not working with nor are they working with the studio at all. They also made it clear this was not a voluntary exit. Generally, it's not a good idea to tell people to refund and leave negative reviews when you're a community manager. Today I learned. Appreciate all the support, blah, blah, blah. And then they kind of disappeared off the internet for a little bit, I think. So that was a wild thing that happened. That a community manager basically instigated that whole thing about the review bombs and everything. Again, 200,000 negative reviews were posted. I will say a lot of people did reverse their negative reviews after they walked everything back. But 200,000 negative reviews? I think it went from mostly positive to negative and then back up to mixed for a little bit on Steam. What is it right now? Because also, keep in mind, Helldivers 2 is technically a PlayStation title. That they, I think maybe the first one that they dropped on PC day one. Right now it's at mixed. All reviews mostly positive, recent reviews mixed. In a day, it's mixed over a day, mostly positive reason. So it's just it's wild. It's wild that PlayStation caved, but also how are you gonna make it something that wasn't mandatory in the beginning and then all of a sudden out of nowhere say it's mandatory? You know, what's the point of that? If you release it and you can't do it, if it's released, just leave it like that. Why change it? There's no point for that. And then it becomes a thing where it's, well, if this game doesn't need it, why have it for the other games? Because Steam had to pull it from so many stores and issue refunds, right? And Steam changed the refund policy just for the, yep, I did see that as well. But that's all the Helldiver stuff. So let's talk about the big boy of the week. Ooh, where do we start? Where do we start with all these layoffs at Xbox Bethesda? I guess we'll just go in order for this one, right? So on Tuesdays when this happened, Microsoft closes Redfall developer, Arcane Austin, Hi-Fi Rush developer. So they closed Arcane Austin, Tango Gameworks, Alpha Dog Games, Roundhouse Studios. Well, Roundhouse Studios wasn't closed; it was absorbed into ZeniMax for ESO support. But I think Roundhouse Studios was around as a support studio in general. I think they supported for Rune, Defiance, Prey, and Redfall, something like that, according to my notes. So they did support work on a lot of these games. So yeah, Arcane Austin, right, did Prey, Redfall, and Redfall was working on, like, Arcane was working on not only a DLC, but also, hold on, let me link this first. Not only DLC, but also the offline mode, which a lot of people were like clamoring for, to have an offline mode to this effing game, which probably I would have tried. And I think they were planning on releasing some of that, at least the, hold on. At least the offline mode, I think, was slated to be released this month, if not next month. Redfall was not great. But Prey, very good. A lot of people liked Prey. And then you got Tango Gameworks, right? That did both Evil Within games, Ghostwire Tokyo, which was, I think, mid, and Hi-Fi Rush, which Hi-Fi Rush we'll get to in a second. But Evil Within 1 and 2 are pretty well received, if I remember correctly. I played the first one. I liked it. I didn't like it enough to play the second one, but I liked it enough. Hi-Fi Rush was just like, again, we'll get into it in a second. Alpha Dog Games is more of a mobile developer. They did like that weird top-down Doom game that looked like it was Plants vs. Zombies artwork or art style. And then Hi-Fi Rush, right? Which came out. It was what, like a $30 game, $40 game, right? So basically an indie game, right? Comes out, is a banger. It was a lot of people's choice for game of the year. They won, I think, best audio design at the Game Awards and animation award at BAFTAs. So they are an award-winning game. Like, the game won award, like literally just won awards, right? One of them tweeted out recently a picture of the awards saying "not enough?" question mark. Like, look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 awards. And even then, what was it? Matt Booty and Pete Hines were talking about this studio last year, like right after it came out, where Matt Booty was saying, if you don't know Matt Booty, he's the head of Xbox Game Studios, and Pete Hines used to be like PR for Bethesda, something like that, or publishing for Bethesda. I think he retired. They were saying, this is about Redfall, where they were saying, I feel accountable that we could have done better job at Arcane. Redfall's getting good play in Xbox Game Pass, and Booty's not writing it off. It was a miss, but how much of a miss? I want to support them to be able to keep working to deliver the game they had in mind. Even asked if Arcane Austin was staying open. That's the plan right now. They are hard at work, updates and continued content for Redfall. Right? That's Matt Booty. And then Pete Hines. Where is it? We don't quit or abandon stuff just because it didn't start right. About I think this is just about Redfall in general. Yeah, about Tango. Not Tango, Arcane. So they're praising Arcane Austin, right? And then there's a Twitter exchange in April, I think, of last year, where someone tweeted out, what in April of 2023, someone tweeted out, what exactly determines success for an Xbox game these days? Hi-Fi Rush, as far as I know, has no physical version, no marketing, no multiplayer. If Xbox is pressuring ZeniMax to deliver sales of its games, maybe it shouldn't put so much emphasis on Xbox Game Pass. So what's the goal here? Referencing this tweet that's been taken down. And then Aaron Greenberg, right, vice president of Xbox marketing or something. Hi-Fi Rush was a breakout hit for us and our players in all key measurements and expectations. We couldn't be happier with what the team at Tango Gameworks delivered with the surprise release, because it was, I think, shadow dropped, right? They just released it. All this praise, and then there was a Giant Bomb thing on their podcast or something saying that Xbox or Microsoft was literally planning on reinvesting in Tango. I think as far as last year. And then all of this happens. they shut down the entire studio gets shut down, right? Where's the other part here? We can go there later because we'll just go in order from the rest of these. And then I think recently, they shut down everything, right? And then Matt Booty comes out of nowhere, right? When was this? I think this was the other day. Yeah, in the 8th, so a couple days ago. Microsoft says it needs games like Hi-Fi Rush the day after killing its studio. Microsoft literally, like Matt Booty, what did he say? So we got the Aaron Greenberg tweet from forever ago. They referenced that. Phil Spencer, I want to give teams a creative platform to go and push their aspirations. Single-player games, smaller single-player games doing very good. He held a town hall to discuss future goals. We need smaller games that give us prestige and awards. Guys, Matt Booty says we need smaller games that give us prestige and awards. How much smaller? Smaller than a $30 game that was shadow dropped on Game Pass? That won awards? What do you mean? What are you talking about? How many more awards? Exactly. How small of a game? Are they expecting games like that to do Call of Duty numbers now that they have Call of Duty? That's the thing, because then what's the magic number? Because, and for all intents and purposes, from what they've been saying, literally Hi-Fi Rush checks all those boxes. Like every single box that they put forward, Hi-Fi Rush checks every box. Which is wild. Right? Yeah, I didn't play it. I'm not a big rhythm game person, but like a lot of people were. Like this was like a 10 out of 10 for a lot of people. Everything is no for exclusive for Survivor and Evil Within Ghostwire Tokyo. Yeah, Phil Spencer on Kind of Funny. So, like, what are they talking about, right? And that's just that. And then I think yesterday, Sarah Bond was on the Bloomberg business thing. Sarah Bond, president of Xbox, right? When was asked about clarifying this stuff, right? Says the closures were made to keep business healthy for the long term. What does that mean? I think I forgot who said it, but someone also was like, they didn't expect to be spread so thin, but like you bought Bethesda. And also, how are you being spread thin when these studios were doing fine before you bought Bethesda? Like they were doing fine. Evil Within, fine. Microsoft also look at taking a loss somewhere for tax purposes, but it's also like, what are they trying to do? What's their end game here? Because you can just say anything whenever you want. Exactly. It's always extraordinarily hard when you have to make decisions like that. Bonsai referring to an earlier comment she made, in industry being flat last year despite a slew of high quality game releases. Like, think about how good 2023 was for games. Insane amount of high quality games last year. And then then those layoffs after layoffs after layoffs. It's wild. So what was she specifically asked here? Hold on. Was asked how players should be expected to understand the closures. And she doesn't really answer it. It's hard, you have to make decisions like that. Being flat last year, which makes no sense. We'll go back to what I was saying about the industry. When we look at those fundamental trends, we feel deep responsibility to ensure that games we make, the devices we build, the services that we offer are there through moments, even when the industry isn't growing and you're through a time of transition. And with the news we announced earlier this week is an outcome of that and our commitment to make sure that business is healthy for the long term. What does that mean? Is it that Game Pass in general isn't working out because, like, maybe if Hi-Fi Rush wasn't on Game Pass, it would have made way more money? Because, like, at the end of the day, Game Pass is, like, not only very good value, it's like there's no way they're not losing money on Game Pass. Especially now that they have Call of Duty. Like, how are they going to expect to put Call of Duty on Game Pass day one? There's no way. There's no way they can put Call of Duty on Game Pass day one. Because either everyone's going to pay $70 for Call of Duty, or they're just going to pay the $15 or $20 a month. Like, that it's going to lose money no matter what. Number of criteria go into closure studios with the ultimate aim being sure to long term. One of the things I really love about the games industry is its creativity art form. And it means a situation when success for each game It's also really unique. There's no one size fits all, of course. We look at each game, we look at the whole variety of factors we're facing, make decisions, trade-offs like that. But come back to long-term commitment for game. It all comes back to our long-term commitment to the games that we create. What long-term? You just closed down Redfall. Redfall just came out. Hi-Fi Rush just came out. What are you talking about? What are you talking about long-term commitment? Right? It doesn't make any sense. And if they're banking on just Bethesda itself as well as Activision, like that new acquisition, those two big acquisitions, I guess, because Halo's not going to do it anymore, right? Ain't no way Halo's going to do it anymore. They don't have anything else. Gears, no one knows anything about Gears, I don't think, right now. Which even then, Gears isn't as popular as these other games. And that's another thing, right? Well, all these games that are, like, what's the game that Double Fine's working on right now? Psychonauts 3, maybe? I think they maybe teased Psychonauts 3. But even then, you have all these games, or all these developers making games right now that you might be excited for. And they might, like, let's say, what is it? What was it? Arcane, the other Arcane studio, Arcane Leon, right? Who's making Marvel's Blade. They're making the Blade game. When that game comes out, are they going to be able to stay open? Like, how well does the Blade game have to do? Because there's no way they didn't cut that studio because they're making Marvel's Blade. Like, if they weren't making Marvel's Blade, there's no way that studio survives. The same with what's the studio that's making the Indiana Jones game? Machine Games. If they weren't making Indiana Jones, do they stay open? Because that's a ZeniMax developer, right? They made Wolfenstein and the Quake games. Like, are we never going to see Wolfenstein or Quake ever again? Every company wants to put their products into the subscription model because it's passive income. Exactly. Yeah, that's what we were saying earlier, right? Everyone sees, by the time they see it, it's too late. It's too late. So, like, what's going to happen with all these other games that are coming out? Like, even, what is in the works for next year, right? GTA 6 is going to be fine. Death Stranding is going to be fine. Not a lot. Marathon, I don't think Marathon sees the light of day. Honestly, at this rate. Because there's no way. There's nothing else. There's nothing really. What do we have here? Instinction. The Marvel game's going to be fine. Monster Hunter Wilds. Does that developer stay open? Slay the Spire. Not even a lot is announced right now. Officially, at least. Rumors always. Is Bungie independent? I don't think. Bungie's owned by PlayStation, right? Yeah, Bungie's owned by PlayStation now. But they're doing Destiny, which, like, they're fine for at least I think Destiny is hemorrhaging money, but I don't think they have any plans after the next. I think Marathon's their next thing, but I don't think Marathon sees the light of day. We'll take over. I take that as the same as, like, what Xbox should have done with Redfall, where, right, what was the developer again? Where Arcane Austin doesn't do games like that, as you can see from Prey. Like, they don't do games like that, but all of a sudden a game like this is put upon it, and Xbox isn't there to really help out too much, which they should have. Even I think Phil Spencer said they should have been more hands-on with that. Yeah, they'll pull out Call of Duty, but how well, for their expectations, how well does it have to do? Because again, if they put it on Game Pass, they're going to lose money. But if they have it where, like, unless they fundamentally change Game Pass before the next Call of Duty comes out, there is a Call of Duty showcase, I think, coming up soon. It's the Xbox showcase is going to have a lot of Call of Duty in it next month. So, like, literally a month from now, 6 weeks. Redfall came out like a month after acquisition. It came out but like, it was still within the time frame where they could have helped. Like, they said themselves that they could help, that they should have helped, because they kind of, like, left them alone to do their own thing, and then look what happened. They were too hands off. That's literally what they said. Yeah. So we're gonna see that. Unless they fundamentally change Game Pass, there's no way Call of Duty makes money, because it's gonna be, if it's on Game Pass, no one in the Xbox ecosystem is gonna buy it outright. If they decide to do a delayed release to PlayStation, that might help a little bit. right? Because Game Pass right now, it's all first-party titles have to be on Game Pass. That's what they said. So if they don't put Call of Duty on Game Pass, they have to fundamentally change the rules of Game Pass. Because otherwise, what the fuck are they doing? Let me see if there's anything left in the list here that we didn't go over. Jeff Grubb saying stuff as usual. We already talked about that. I think we did it for the day. PlayStation Showcase we already talked about. Oh, we didn't. There is more here. That I think this one that after all this, I think Xbox is planning to do more cuts actually. The other day, yeah, Xbox is planning to make more cuts. This is after they already cut these studios. Offering voluntary severance agreements to producers, quality assurance testers, and other staff at ZeniMax. Oh my god. Several other across the Xbox division at Microsoft have been told more cuts are coming. That was in that same town hall with Matt Booty. This is where it says, the studios have been spread too thin, described as peanut butter on bread. What does that mean? What does that mean? How are they spread out more than they were before you acquired them? But he said that poor performance of Redfall was not the reason. The studio was looking to pitch a new single-player immersive sim game, like a possible entry to the Dishonored series. I don't see how they push forward with that, honestly. The closures and reorganization will help put more focus on fewer games. So why close them? Just like how is removing workers help the other existing games? Just reassign everybody if you're going to do that. It doesn't make any sense. Take some of the workload off of the other people. You can access. I mean, we won't know. We won't know until they give us more news. It's hard getting people to look into it, even for games they're interested in playing. People would rather consider buying a game outright than playing for Game Pass. But that's the thing. That's like legitimately like Game Pass is the best value, like hands down in games. Like PlayStation's trying to do something similar. They made it very complicated. They made it not as good. There's nothing out there that beats Game Pass in terms of like how like the amount, the giant catalog that you have and the future catalog, like all first party titles and like 400 other previous titles. Insane. And games, if I wanted to play it once a night, that's fair. That's totally fair. But if you don't plan on like ever, because then obviously you're at the mercy of if they decide to take something off Game Pass, which usually they will let you know and you get a discount on purchasing it outright. But if you don't ever plan on, like me, ever not paying for Game Pass because I'm going to play Starfield day one, not paying any extra money, play all the Fallout games, next Elder Scrolls, next Fallout's going to be day one, stuff like that, all the Halos, Gears, anything that comes out, that's what I want it for. You don't own the games. I mean, that for me, that doesn't bother me too much because I don't have time to play games as it is. So it's fine if I can justify not finishing like Starfield, right? Because I didn't buy it outright. I didn't pay the money for it. I can go back to it whenever I want, but I don't feel like I'm wasting my money on it because I just don't have time to play all those games. No, I get Dorgrin, I get your position, and your position is totally valid. A lot of people are like that. When people pressure to play the game, that's fair. That's totally fair. Like a lot of people are like that. There's more people like that, Dorgrin, than I think there are on the other side. Arcane Austin and Tango Games were both looking to hire more employees as they pitch new games, which is the main factor as to why they were shut down. Like, none of these consolidation deals have panned out well for any of the employees. Like, not a single one so far. Which of these deals, like, panned out positively? I don't think a single one. I mean, we'll see, obviously, but everyone who purchases Windows a free Game Pass subscription, then I might use it. That would be pretty good, but that's going to be tough because, like, how involved is Microsoft specifically with Xbox? It's hard to tell. Let's see if there's anything else. I think we have I think at this point we're for sure at everything. Yeah. But I think that's gonna be it for gaming news talk. Probably put this up on YouTube, as well every week. I have to obviously cut a little bit of this one, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, if you guys like these talks, I do. I like this stuff, and I do keep up with it as much as I can. Like even though we don't talk about it ever on stream, I do like yapping about this stuff because I do pay attention to this a decent amount. So if you guys like talking about this, feel free to hit exclamation mark just a tip. And if you know anybody that likes talking about gaming news, invite them in or show them the video when it comes out. And I'm gonna be like, well, hey, Greenwich, I appreciate that a lot. Feel free to donate to do more of this stuff because it'll help alleviate the fact that I'm spending so much extra time building notes. But I think this was fun. I had fun doing it. I hope you guys had fun conversing and watching it. Does anyone have any last orders of business in gaming news? The notes channel and Discord people get. I think what I was gonna do is I'm gonna do it right now actually. I'm gonna make a thread. I'm gonna make a thread inside the gaming hub. All right, I made a new thread in the gaming hub in the Discord. Exclamation mark Discord or socials or whatever. So there now is a thread within the gaming hub called news articles where you guys can just dump or converse or let me know what you guys want to talk about for that stuff. We're gonna try to take this a little bit more serious. I know we're not usually serious at all, but we are gonna actually try to keep this as a serious thing. So I will be ignoring any silly comments in chat during this segment, and I might even start muting the alerts and sounds and stuff because I would like to try to keep it as a legitimate, serious segment on a weekly basis. Alerts and sounds will be turned off, or I'll make them really tiny, whichever. But again, this is the first time we're doing it. Yeah, I do. Like I said, I do need to make more assets. I was gonna make a whole nother scene for this. A logo and stuff, but that's all stuff that just takes time. I do have, like I said, ideas about stuff. I just need to make another scene with a different layout for this specifically. But yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan. But this is again first pilot segment of this. It's only gonna get better as we go forward. So let me stop the recording. Thank you again for the talks, guys. That was for the week of the 4th or whatever, the week of the 5th. We'll try to do this every week. I hope you guys liked it. And honestly, even if you didn't, I'm going to keep doing it because I like to do it. So get fucked. Deal with it.